Hey everyone, it's Joanne. I know it's been quite some time since I actually made a video on YouTube, and I think right now is very fitting for me to put this video in the light of the events that have happened, obviously. And I'm sure those that have been following me, they do know that my two stores, my eBay stores, have been indefinitely suspended by eBay. And so I wanted to give my thoughts on it as to what happened and how I feel about it, obviously, and how I'd like to move forward with it. I believe actually today it marks 2 weeks since eBay has decided to close down my stores. And I wanted to take some time to really think about it. And I didn't want to make the video right away, right after it happened, because I felt that if I did, the video would be a little bit more emotional and not enough, I guess, value to give to everyone. So I wanted to allow myself some time to really think about things and the lessons that I've learned, and to just allow myself to go through the emotions because there's tons and they still are there. So January 3rd, 2019 was actually my third year anniversary doing eBay dropshipping on retail arbitrage. But somehow, this particular year, it felt a little different. So I spoke in front of a digital nomad summit, and I felt very fortunate to do so and share my story and the growth of my business and how I have evolved and how important ethical business is for me. And it was very overwhelming to have everyone kind of reach out to me afterwards and ask me questions about it. You know, they're interested in becoming digital nomads themselves, and if eBay retail arbitrage is a viable business for them to do so. So I went back to my room afterwards and reflected upon sharing my journey and really being able to see whether or not this is a viable business, as a long term for someone to be able to embark on. And then I asked myself, I worked so damn hard for so many years. What would happen if one day I woke up and the eBay business is jeopardized in any way? What if I lose the business? Then what? You know, and this question kind of put me, inside of my goals of who I am, what am I trying to reach beyond the eBay business. I realized that my goals, my journey, they still remain the same whether or not I do eBay business or not. And so it kind of helped me start to reflect on the business. Chasing the sales was becoming exhausting for me, and not at all the reason why I wanted to build an e-commerce business. Now, I don't want to be ignorant of the fact that without sales, there's no profit. There's no profit. The business is not viable. I get that. But when you make your business a sole focus to generate sales, and think about how to make more money on the back end, how to raise, it's not at all a viable business as a long-term kind of growth. And I had to get real with myself with that. I realized that myself and my team were becoming very stressed out, but we were still very dependent on the thought of the profits and numbers. It just kind of took over us, right? And well, at the beginning of the year, obviously, I came back from Thailand, and I realized that I really wanted to go back to my core type of doing business. I really appreciated David Wu's eBay course, and I still think that that's one course that provides you with the fundamental ways of doing eBay dropshipping, retail arbitrage. And I still am firmly a firm believer that a little bit of a higher profit still will generate enough sales and enough profit to have this business sort of maintain your lifestyle, and especially if you're a digital nomad, you cannot afford to spend 16 hours a day chasing sales. You want to set up a business that can sustain your lifestyle enough to sustain your lifestyle. So I wanted to restructure the business, and I wanted to go back to, as I said, how I used to run it, a little bit of a higher profit, lower sales, but at least I made the money on the front end. This kind of reminded me of lesson 28 of David Wu's course. If you still have access to it, don't play the price game. And it still, I think, resonates to this day. I still believe that that the point of a lifestyle business online is to not chase the sales, but to create a business that can sustain your lifestyle. And I also wanted to close down my second store and, as I said, restructure the business. Interestingly enough, after I put this thought into the universe, there came a series of events that I still have to work through and accept that I may not know the real answers as to what really happened. And it's hard to get back on track on the next project if I didn't allow myself to process all these emotions and to kind of come to an acceptance as to what happened. Whether or not I will know the real answers as to why the eBay store was closed, I don't think that's relevant. What's relevant is being able to accept these feelings so I can transform this experience into a lesson, and I can move forward and apply that to the next projects that I'm working on. And I just had to stop giving a fuck, really, about anything and anyone for a couple of weeks and work on my internal shit and just kind of figure out how to move forward. I wanted to slow down this race for success or whatever I was racing towards. Especially at the end of it all, I felt that the eBay business was not sustaining my lifestyle anymore. I felt it was the other way around. It's almost like I became a slave to it. And for me, chasing the sales and low profit, it doesn't suit my business style. And well, right now, I guess the 2 weeks, it's been nice to wake up without tasks and sales and all that. And I feel now, I guess after 2 weeks, that everything is going to be okay. And now I'm a little bit more focused in trying to move forward and build my next business. Before I get into that, I wanted to say that I wanted to take this time to be clear on my lessons. And so I do have 5 lessons and that I wanted to talk about. And I have them here. Sorry about that. I guess I should have been prepared. And so the 5 things I learned from the eBay experience, and I needed to write them down in my journal because it's important to have them written in front of me, and they're pretty clear, right? So the first one is I wanted to not focus strictly on revenue and sales and low margin. This is a big lesson for me. I realized it doesn't suit a business. It doesn't suit I guess a lifestyle. It doesn't suit a digital nomad if he wants to move forward. You cannot. You need to dedicate some time to set up your business, but then again, you need to automate it and be able to kind of step away so you can enjoy your life. And I felt that the way the eBay business was running at the end for me was not satisfying my lifestyle. It was it just it was not a long-term kind of game that I wanted to continue. So for me, going forward, is I still very much prefer having a higher profit and just have sales that allow me to create a profit and not stress so much about maximizing the profit on the back end and trying to hustle so much with it, you know, especially because I live in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I needed to make sure that I enjoy my life as well. For me, having a big corporate and hiring a lot of people to sustain this type of volume, it was not for me. The second thing is to take control over my business. So I wanted to delegate the process and have a solid system in place and not so many moving parts. The business became very dependent on discounts and chasing and hustling and chatting and wasting a lot of time on that, which is not a sustainable business for a digital nomad. I felt that showing my graph and showing how many sales I was doing, it's useless if your business doesn't have a purpose behind it, or you just becoming a slave for it. You got to keep in mind, I came from a corporate world where I was working a lot of hours, and I didn't want to repeat that. Not because I don't want to work, but I want to have an efficient kind of work. So taking control of my business and not necessarily, working with others and sharing, my business aspect of things, it's not something that I want to do moving forward. So another thing is you can't maximize the business beyond the threshold. So the eBay retail arbitrage works until a certain point. You can still kind of maximize your profit margin We all know, you can use discounted cards, you can use cashback credit cards. There's ways to you can maximize in the back end. You can maybe work with your vendors and chat with your vendors and see if they could maybe offer you any additional discounts. I mean, we all know this, right, as a drop shipper, but if your business depends on that to make profit and money, it's not a self-sustaining business, and certainly not something that you can do as a long term. And you have to create a business that takes off. It's kind of like a big wheel. You have to work at the beginning to get it going, and then once it gets going, it's just kind of go on by itself. And all you need to do is focus on the high level things. And so I think that the eBay retail arbitrage drop shipping can only grow to a certain point. And I think that I maximize it beyond its threshold. And then really, you have to trust your instinct and walk away when things become unethical. And I'm saying that because once I gave my talk, I sat back in my room and I said, well, is my business really ethical? You know, and I realized that there's some parts of it that they're not. And I didn't feel comfortable with that, which is the reason why I wanted to restructure. I just felt, like I said, there's way too moving parts, which I didn't think they're ethical enough. And also I was working against a big, I guess, eBay policy, where they do not condone retail arbitrage. It's very clear on eBay site, and I'm going to post a link of all the policies. You just cannot do retail arbitrage on eBay. And if you choose to do it, you need to kind of, be mindful that if you grow fast, or if you're not under the radar, and you have a high volume, or you do things that may raise a flag with eBay, they will definitely suspend you should they think that you are doing retail arbitrage. There's no question asked. And that's what happened with my main store. Not what happened with my second store, but that's what happened with my main store. They have concluded that I was doing retail arbitrage, and there's nothing I can do to appeal that. And believe me, I've tried. And the last thing is, you have to really redefine your goals to align your current state of affairs. Where I was 4 years ago is very different where I am right now. The struggles are different, the challenges are different, but also the goals are very different. I'm in a place in my life right now where I'm not necessarily desperate to make the money, and I am motivated to actually build a real project. Not that eBay was not real, it certainly was, but something that's a little bit more sustainable, more of an asset, and more of a long-term kind of goal that allows me to build that lifestyle setup that I initially started with. So these are the 5 things that I wanted to cover, and it would be good for you to revisit in your own business and redefine these things for yourself. And just to get clear, and so I had 2 stores. My second store was suspended, and these are just assumptions, okay? eBay did not tell me straight up what they are, because apparently, they want to keep this secret. The fact that they don't want to share the information as to why they suspend me, I think that's very silly of eBay. And but that's just, they're the big corporate company, and I have no desire to fight that. But my assumptions are that the type of listings that they were in my second store, they affected, raise concerns just based on the questions that they're asking me to prove. And, speaking with Concierge, which I was a member of, they were able to rely on the fact that my second store, the way the listings were entered and the type of listings, they concluded that it was a risky trading type of business, so they had to suspend it. In terms of my main store, because the main store was obviously linked to the second store, this was actually also flagged. But the reason was obviously because I was doing retail arbitrage. And surprisingly enough, I was able to provide certain letters of authorization. I was able to provide invoices to show that, in fact, I was also doing business with wholesalers, because it was tied to the second store. And unfortunately, the way that was handled, it basically banned my first store as well. And, what I want to say about the suspension, even though it says indefinite, you can certainly still fight it if you have a good lawyer behind you, or if you have good facts to prove that you're not violating any of their policies. For me, at that point, I guess, as I shared this before, I already felt kind of like I was done with eBay arbitrage. So I just felt like the energy investing and trying to prove myself that I didn't do anything wrong, I thought it was a waste of time. So I chose to really myself indefinitely terminate my desire to continue doing business on eBay as well. So I do want to say that I'm very appreciative of everything that I have learned on eBay, and I've learned a lot. And I'm still very appreciative that eBay has allowed me to do business for 3 years. There's no animosity and there's no hate. I respect their corporate policies. I'm definitely not fighting with that. And as far as going forward, I'm still going to take some time off because, well, the emotions are still pretty running high and they're affecting my thought process. And I just don't think it's appropriate for me to try to start any projects where my mind is not completely there. But in terms of projects, I am actually working on the dropship lifestyle, and that's a recommendation that was given to me by Johnny FD. He believes that that's a sustainable type of business adventure, what it allows me to, build a business that can sustain my lifestyle, and of course, build an asset. So definitely, this is the project that I'm working on. I'm working on building a store on Shopify based on Anton's course, and this is going to take some time. So I expect myself to see some consistent profits and to see a good consistent business out of this, I would say 12 months. So head down for at least 12 to 14 months to try to make this happen. Lots to learn, but I love to learn. So that's not that's not something that I'm shying away from. And that's it really. I think now I have more time to share my journey on YouTube, and I'm very excited to do so because I think that it will allow other people to see that within themselves as well, to see the struggles that I'm going through and how I can cope with it, and how I pick myself up, and how I move forward with it. So having said that, again, thank you so much for all the emails. I really appreciate it, and I'm okay. I'm okay. It's just sometimes hard. I think the hardest part of it all was that I spent 3 or so years building something from scratch, where it's taken away from you. So that's kind of something that I have to work through, but it will get resolved. And pretty excited to start something again from scratch, knowing that this is something that's mine, it's an asset. I don't have to worry so much about, if I do everything ethically and legally, I don't have to worry about being pulled off, from eBay and Amazon. So if you have any questions, just ask me below. And of course, if you like my channel, subscribe. And as always, happy selling no matter what platform you're on. Okay? Take care.